Welcome back to another episode of Thinking That Matters. I'm your host, Elizabeth Mahusai, and I am here with my friend and fellow McKinney leadership, the greatest class ever member, Derrick Tarver. So Derrick, tell us about you, who you are, what you do, so that we can lay foundation for our conversation today.
So what I do for my day-to-day job, I work at Encore. I've been there about 12 years. What I do there, I do learning and development. Most of the things that I do there, I'm in charge of everything that's earth moving on campus. I kind of teach all the classes, kind of write all the regs for the standard procedures for those pieces of equipment, and make sure everybody on campus is basically following the rules. So that's what I do on my day-to-day 9-to-5 job. What I do on my personal side of things, I run a youth organization, Collin County Chaos. It's a youth competitive sports organization. It's basically a nonprofit that I just started probably about a month ago, giving youth the opportunity to play sports, the ones that can't afford it, because everything is so expensive now. It's where some organizations is charging $1,500 here, $4,000 for the year. Me, I just want to charge them a basic price and give them the same type of treatment as the kids that's paying that $4,000.
Wow. And so did I just hear you correctly that you started it just a couple of months ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Once I got accepted to leadership at McKinney, I kind of pushed forward on trying to make it to where I can help the kids.
And that's incredible because I mean, just starting a business, and while a nonprofit is not for profit, but it's still a business. You're still running an additional business from
Correct.
outside of your 9-to-5 or your regular day job. Now, I'm just curious, just a couple of questions around what you're doing. You said earth moving. So are we talking heavy equipment, or give me just a little detail there?
Yes, like forklifts, tractors,
Okay.
golf carts, track mobiles, because Encore has its own track. So we get stuff that gets shipped in by trains. So we have that. We have gators. We have scissor lifts, boom lifts. We have all different types of things.
So how did you get into that?
So when I first started out at Encore, I was an order puller, right? I started there. I was just a basic worker working in a distribution center. And then I got the opportunity to join the safety team.
Okay.
Once I joined the safety team, I was kind of running the distribution center as far as safety. And then they gave me the opportunity to take over the mobile equipment side of things. So I took it, really didn't have much knowledge on it. So they sent me to different classes to get me a par with understanding what the equipment was. And then I grew it from there.
That is so, I love that you are willing to step into new opportunities, learn new things, continue to grow, and now you're helping other people. If you're educating them on the safety regulations, I mean, you play a very important role because we obviously want people to be safe and we need the people around them to be safe. Correct. Because they're operating it correctly.
Correct.
So that's tremendous. What would you say, just from a thinking standpoint, right? What is a way in which you need to think as someone who has to care greatly about safety that is important in how you communicate, to the guys, the gals who come in for your classes? I mean, what is the thinking around that?
So we always refer it back to going home to your family. So let's just say you're operating heavy equipment, right? So if you're operating heavy equipment, those pieces of equipment can kill someone, or you can be killed on that piece of equipment. Think about it, I've seen it to where people almost running off the loading docks, or people running into another forklift, head-on collisions, people getting thrown off forklifts. I've seen it. People flipping forklifts. I didn't seen it. I try to relate it to where I keep it to where you need to make it home to your family at the end of the day, because obviously you're the breadwinner if you're here.
So that's thinking with the end in mind there, right? Which is super important. Man, forklifts flipping. Okay. I wondered about that because my dad could operate heavy equipment. He spent some of his career as a heavy equipment mechanic. So he was around the big cats and the massive heavy equipment. And so I wondered, from a thought process, because, is it possible that one could become complacent?
Very complacent.
In the operation of heavy equipment?
Very complacent. A lot of people can, because once you do something every day, you get complacent in what you're doing because you feel like you know it, you got it down. Nobody can tell you everything. I've been doing this now. I know it. Stay out of my way. That's the worst mentality to have operating heavy equipment.
I'm just thinking that's probably not a good mentality to have, even if you're not operating heavy equipment.
But, like, it's just like anything else. When you start doing certain things, you get confident.
It's true. You get confident, and if we're not careful, we can be less likely to be open for help or constructive feedback.
Correct.
And while we might not be flipping a forklift, all right, but we could be flipping our life upside down.
Exactly.
Because
I've seen it.
We've chosen not to receive constructive feedback or the help that we actually needed.
I've seen it.
I appreciate that. Now, you led the way in why you started Collin County Chaos. I got that right, correct?
Correct.
Was you really wanting to provide a competitive sports opportunity for folks where it is affordable? And of course, we live in North Texas, for those watching or listening, and we're a highly competitive sports environment or culture. Mm-hmm. Is that a fair thing to say?
It's a fair thing to say.
And it has, over the years, become incredibly, the investments just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger. And faster and faster. Kids are growing. Different leagues are growing.
And so when you thought about, I want to be a difference maker in this space, at some point, there are people out there, they have ideas. They see a need. They want to be able to meet the need. But maybe they haven't yet taken that step of creating the organization. In your case, what got you to that place? Like, from that place of thinking that you would take action to put the plan into motion?
So with a lot of the teams that I have now, like, a lot of the kids started with me when we were 3, right? So they went from 3 playing sports to 4. Then the kids turned 5, and then 6, and then 7, and 8, and 9. Now they're 9. And then it went from one parent, like maybe a couple years back, maybe you need to turn this to a nonprofit because you put a lot of your time, a lot of your money into it, and we're steady adding kids, and it's growing. I'm like, nah, this is just something that I like to do, and it keeps me out of trouble, and it keeps me busy. So I don't mind doing it. It was like, well, maybe it's growing too fast. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be going out asking people for anything, or I'm not the type to be out here communicating with people. I just want to keep letting it grow, and it grow. Whatever God does, he does it. And that's the way I ran with it. But then I went to what made me turn it to about a year ago, that I really wanted to push towards it, when I got up to 10 teams.
Wow. All on your own?
All on my own.
Woo.
It went from 10 teams, now I have 15 teams. And then with me funding a lot of the kids, it started getting overwhelming. Like some parents that helped kick in, or I was kicking in most of the money, and a couple other of my friends that helped me with the organization, we're kicking in our funds to make sure kids get their uniforms, get their fees paid, make sure they're having the shoes that they need to wear, different things. And then I kind of like really realized, like I said a couple months ago, to turn it into a nonprofit. Maybe I can get help where I can grow and reach more kids across McKinney or Plano or Allen or, Anna.
Wow.
The Collin County area, because that's why I named it Collin County Chaos, so I can keep it in Collin County.
Man, I'm just thinking about 10 teams and, the amount of funding you were doing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the first part of the saying, but, where it talks about in and of yourself, I'm just going to be the Elizabeth version of it. In and of yourself, you can do good things. You can accomplish quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to go far and accomplish more, you do it with other people.
Exactly.
You invite other people in to the vision that you have. So you started the nonprofit. I mean, even that in and of itself, the paperwork, the filing. So are you a 501(c)(3)?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have a board?
I do have a board, but we're willing to grow it, We're just now starting it. Just like I said, just a couple of us that really believe in the process and see my vision.
That's awesome. But my point is that takes time, energy, and effort to put all of those things into place. As you've been developing the nonprofit and really beginning to work to get traction on it, how does it make you feel to see other people come alongside of you to support your vision, to be part of what it is you want to accomplish in the lives of these kids? Talk to me about the feeling around that.
Oh, it makes me feel pretty good to see people seeing my vision and helping me with my vision and grow my vision because they see the passion that I have for the kids and helping people. I had to accept my calling this year to really understand that I think that's what I'm here for, to help people. You know what I mean? And it means a lot to me to see the ones that's been with me since the beginning actually joining my vision and helping me push towards getting it to where it is now. I can only
imagine like a parent who's watched you coach their child for the last 6 years, based on, I think, what you said, how much it's impacting them deeply. And then they can become your strongest advocates and champions for.
That's what they are.
That I
We're
love
a family.
that. Yeah, that's so good in really being able to cultivate that. Now, you're working with children that are, do you have any older than 9 or?
Yes. I think the oldest team is a freshman right now. See, I go from freshman to high school. The youngest we start at the age of 3.
Okay.
So they can play soccer at 3. They can play soccer, then they go football or volleyball, whatever they want to play, whatever sports we want to.
Now, for the person watching who's thinking, what's so significant about a young person being involved in competitive sports? I want you to speak to the value and how competitive sports helps to cultivate thinking that matters for them. What do you see are the benefits of that for your athletes that are going through your program?
Well, a lot of them come from families less fortunate. They see a lot of things they're not supposed to see. So kind of give them structure, give them something to look forward to. You know, like I have some kids that see things that people at war see. You have some kids that see people do hand-to-hand transactions. You have some kids that see parents get abused. So, you know, it's different. So what I'm doing is mentoring them away from certain situations, giving them something to stay out of trouble, giving them something to push forward for.
Man, it just underscores the value, right, of what I call in the neuroscience, if children are seeing things they shouldn't see, to go back to the language that you just used, over time, that creates neural pathways in their brain. There's an expectation of this is the way the world is. And what I want to just be clear, because someone might be listening to this podcast for the first time, is that a strong neural pathway is very difficult to disrupt.
Correct.
And the earlier we can create disruption in the development of, let's say, a negative neural pathway, the better. So what I'm hearing from you is that you're giving opportunity to provide some, what I'm going to call positive disruption.
Correct.
Of what could become a very negative neural pathway of thinking for these young people. I love that.
That's what needs to happen because we don't have that anymore. We don't have mentors in certain areas to teach them to do certain things, tell them that this is not okay. Because guess what? A lot of these people have generational, they call it generational curses of generations after generations of doing the same thing. Sometimes you have to get people in place to be able to direct them in a different direction, which some of the family members want to direct them in the right direction, but they can only do what they know.
That's what makes it so challenging.
Very challenging.
That's something that I think it's so important for us to have expanded perspective on the real challenge that exists in, okay, I'm going to change generational curses to the phrase generational thought process, just to, in a sense, bring it to a place where without thinking, they say things like, they always act that way. Or they put what I call absolutes on characterizations that I really want the listener to recognize that generational thought processes are very deeply ingrained.
Very ingrained.
And it takes intentional, some cases strategy and consistency and persistence to help people break out of wrong thinking.
Exactly. So what I do to make that happen, I make them play every sport. I keep them busy.
Really?
Yep,
Tell me about that.
So a lot of the kids, I make them play 4 sports. We'll play 4 sports at one time. We'll play football, basketball, baseball, and soccer. And we'll have a game, 4 games on a Saturday, and it's back to back. I give them no time to think. So the kids that I see that have those problems, I make them play all 4 sports because guess what? It's giving them structure, giving them organization, teaching them how to communicate. It teaches them everything.
Wow. I'm just thinking about, the brain going from running a football play to, and I recognize that in every sport, there's a playbook. So from a principled standpoint, it's one, you're on a football field, one, you're on a basketball court, et cetera. But at the same time, I mean, like the rules, for example, football, it's all hand contact to the ball. Soccer, it's all no hand contact. It's all footwork. So it's interesting to think about how you're utilizing a multi-sport approach to really further disrupt and to help build better neural pathways of thinking. What feedback do you get from your students?
Sometimes they're tired, but it's like I tell them, I'm tired. I went to work today. That's what grown-ups do. We go to work and we make things happen so you can keep those shoes on your feet, clothes on your back, food on the table. So you can do the same thing. All I ask you to do is go to school, come to football practice, come to soccer practice. It's just giving them a routine and teaching them structure.
Man, I'm just grateful to hear that. And the work that you're doing is so significant and important. If you had to share a success story of someone that you've watched grow through your program, and you can keep it vague if you would like, but I think it's so important for people, for things to be humanized, right? Yeah. We're not just talking about a sport or a nonprofit. These are real people being impacted by the work that you're doing. Who would you tell us about?
It'll be me, because I had to grow with the kids. You have to think about it because they're looking at me. Like me, I'm not the talkative person. I told you, I'm not the person that wants to be in the front line. That's why when we're in class, I'm very quiet and I'm very observant. I'm not the person that want to be on the front line. So if I'm not growing, how can they grow?
It's hard too.
Exactly. So if I'm not pushing myself to be better, how can I push them to be better?
You're reminding me of John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid, that a leader, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, if a leader is a 6, everyone that person leads will bump to that lid, and it's very unlikely they'll grow beyond a 6. And so it's important that the leader be continually bumping up on that growth scale, to use your term growth, so that the people that individual is leading can continue to grow. So I love hearing that story would be you. How would you say, if you had to think about limiting beliefs that have impacted you over your life, if you could identify at least one, and I would love for you to share something intentionally you've done to try to overcome that, to shift that limiting belief into a belief that helps you to take action in a positive way.
Okay. So basically, like I was telling them in class, I'm born and raised in McKinney. I'm from the east side of McKinney, born and raised. I've been here my whole life. My family's very known here. We were always taught never to go downtown, right? So you're no, you don't go down there. You go to jail. You don't go downtown.
Interesting. Okay.
So me, as being the age that I am now, to overcome that, to see me going to leadership, interacting with people in the city, interacting with certain people that are big names in the city, that are connecting with the mayor or connecting with the people that they told me not to connect with, makes you grow.
Wow. So often, there are a lot of people that are just unaware of things that have been said, or in this case, is it fair to say somewhat you were, when we think about how our thinking programs our actions, right? That you were hearing all the time, don't go downtown. So we become programmed to believe going downtown is what? Is it fear? Is it bad? Is it how would you characterize what that made you think and feel from hearing so often, don't go downtown?
Makes you feel like you're going to go to jail.
Man, just that perspective. So you're right, for you to step out of that, right?
It's a big step.
And to go downtown, I mean, that makes me somewhat emotional, because I think what gets missed out on this perception that we grow up with, right? Of something that you can't do or you shouldn't do, or someone believes you shouldn't do, and what we miss out on in the process.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I can say it puts a lot of pressure on you. It puts a lot of pressure on me, because now that people see me where I'm at now, and I'm from where they're from, it gives them hope. It gives them, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can get with him and do that. Maybe I can join in to help this.
Truly, in the coaching world, where that's my day job, right? As an executive business coach and working with people, I'm emotional because I'm thinking you literally are a living testimony of breaking belief barriers, right? Because there are people, let's say it's on the east side of McKinney, who believe this, what has been said to them their whole life of you don't go there, because if you go there, you go to jail. And by you taking that step, being courageous, stepping into these spaces that you otherwise would not step into, you're breaking those belief barriers. You are making it possible for other people to believe something better, bigger. How does that make you feel?
Good, in a way. It made me feel good. Like, just getting into leadership of McKinney, I applied the week before it closed. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It's just like, people like, are you willing to try? Do you want to grow? Yeah, I want to grow. I just took my leap of faith, put in my application, paid my $50, and look, my first time trying, I get in.
High five, man.
You know,
Same
like,
here.
It's like, I was just like, it's not nothing that I want to do because I'm not the person that wants to ever be in the front. I don't ever want to be frontline. So it's kind of like, for me to be at this point in my life, it's like really opened me up and I see it. Just like when we did our assessment test to learn who we are.
The Strengths Finders?
Yep. That opened up my eyes a lot. That made me want to be more than what I am. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of like,
good.
It's crazy.
So, you know, that even speaks to the significance or the importance of even assessments like the Clifton Strengths Finder for people to better understand who they are. I asked David Garcia on a recent episode about the significance or a way for people to clue into, I may need to change. First thing he said was, you need self-awareness. And he talked about him better understanding his strengths and knowing where he's strong. So I'm just curious, shares, because I have a whole series on my YouTube channel about strengths that came out of our Leadership McKinney. So what are your top 5 strengths?
What was it? Includer?
It's okay. If you don't remember them, I did. He didn't know I was going to ask him that. But even just you saying includer does not surprise me, right? Because you're wanting to include, you're wanting people who otherwise might not be able to afford $4,000 a year to play a competitive sport and to grow in their skill and their ability. You want to include them. Yeah,
because why not? Because I think they deserve the same opportunity as the next person because they're less fortunate. Doesn't mean they don't deserve that
opportunity.
Spot.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. I want to turn as we begin to work our way towards wrapping this up. What role has faith played for you in just your own personal and professional development, and specifically around what you're doing with Collin County Chaos?
A lot of prayer.
I hear you. I can imagine.
A lot of prayer. So just believing in God and just making sure I stay focused on what my calling is. Once I start focusing on what my calling is, everything started growing. Instead of running away from it, I just said, I'm just going to accept it. And I ran with it and I'm growing. Look at it.
That's so awesome. Has there been, again, I recognize I'm putting you on spot. And so this is not so much of you have to give like all of the detail, but I have to imagine that as you've been praying and you've been believing God and you're taking steps towards that calling, right? You created the nonprofit. You've gone from 10 teams to 15. You're raising funds. What's a scripture that has really been meaningful to you in this process of growth that you've been in?
Train up a child.
I love that. I think that's Proverbs 16:5. It's 16:5 or 25, something 20 verse 5. But train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it.
Exactly.
I love that. You know, it's interesting because while the people in your class at Encore Wire are not children, but you are training them up.
Exactly.
So that they can be home. They actually get to go home and be with their family because they've done their job safely.
And go home every day safely.
Yeah, I love that. And now you've got children that you are training up in the course of your Collin County Chaos. I love that. So tell people where they can learn more about Collin County Chaos, to get involved, to give. How do they learn more about what you're doing there?
We have Facebook, Collin County Chaos on Facebook. We have that as Instagram. We have website, collincountychaos.org, where you can donate if you want to donate equipment, whatever it may be. Or you can contact me at 469-450-9166. And then we also have Snapchat.
Of course you do, because you have children.
Yeah.
I love that. That is so good. So I want to encourage you all, go check out Collin County Chaos and see how you can get involved, how you can give, how you can promote the mission that Derrick has for training children up in a way that can help them believe bigger.
Yep.
Just thinking about the whole of our conversation. I wrap up every episode with the question, why do you, Derrick, believe it is important to cultivate thinking that matters?
Growth. It's all about growth. Growth is everything. Just like I tell the kids, if you're not better by the next practice, that means you don't believe. If you haven't improved from what you did last week, that means you don't believe in what you're doing. So why are you doing it?
Okay, tell me more. I know I'm supposed to be wrapping this up, but I want to dig a little bit in on that. If you're not better by the next practice, you don't believe. What makes you say that?
Because they're not putting in the work. They have to put in the work. It's like I tell them, you want to win? Winning don't come from sitting at home playing Roblox or GTA or
some type of game.
Or just sitting around watching YouTube. No, that's not going to get it. If you want to be something, you want to be somebody, you have to put in the work. We don't win championships every season because we don't work towards that championship to get better each season.
I love that. Success is spelled W-O-R-K.
Yep,
Work. We can't get around it. And you are giving them an opportunity to come into a structured environment where they can learn the value of work. And on so many, it's really multidimensional work, right? It's work on their mind. Mm-hmm. It's work on their body. It's work in their attitude. I mean, there's so many ways in which you are giving them the opportunity to learn the value of work.
Yep. And that's what I love about all the parents that deal with me. They allow me to discipline. They allow me to discipline them. They allow me to give them structure. They just let me be me. And it's
I love it.
One big family.
I am so grateful that you said yes to being somewhat in the front and sharing, because you have so much wisdom and so much passion for what you do. And I want people to know about it. I want them to know about how they can be difference makers in the way that you are being a difference maker. I appreciate you all tuning in. Remember, when you cultivate thinking that matters, you can live a life and you can make a difference in your community in a way that matters.